Hello, 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 everybody. We are going to give just a couple minutes for everybody to make their way in. I see that people are coming in. I like to give just a couple minutes. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. I know it's a Monday morning and everybody has a lot to do, but we are excited to share with you what we've put together to help you kind of level up your midterm rental business, if you will. I think people are still coming in, so we're gonna just I'll probably give it until about 4 after, so a couple minutes. Feel free to pop into the chat where you're from if you would like, or if you have any questions. We will be using the Q&A box today. So also feel free to pop any questions or thoughts into that Q&A box. We won't get to that until the end of the webinar, obviously, but if you have any burning questions that you just can't wait to ask, please feel free to put them in there. Let's see. It says that the chat is disabled. Let me see if I can fix that for you guys. Okay. One more minute and we will get started here. All right, someone test out that chat for me. Let me know if it's working. Yay, okay, awesome. We have people here. This is so great. I always get a little bit nervous doing webinars because the tech I'm like, I don't want to mess anything up. So glad that this is working and everybody is able to make it, especially on a Monday. So this is going to be so great. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. Excuse me. And I'm sure more people will come on in, and that is totally fine. This is a webinar that we will also send out the recording for. So if you have to leave early or anything like that, no worries, that we will send this out so that you can refer to it, because our goal here is to give you so much information. I love webinars that have a lot of actionable items and then have a lot of just really good takeaways that you can do something and implement steps within your business. So that is our goal for today. So here we go, how to elevate your rental business with online tools. All right, just a little bit about me so you know who I am and why I'm here behind the screen talking. My name is Katie Lyon. I work at Furnished Finder as the marketing director, and I also have 12 midterm rentals of my own that my family and I have scaled within about 2 years. So that's been really fantastic for us. As soon as I started working at Furnished Finder, I quickly discovered the power behind midterm rentals and kind of went all in. So not only do I work for Furnished Finder and I get to see that side of things, but I'm literally walking in the shoes of a midterm landlord every single day. So I just think that's important to share so that everybody knows kind of like I see everybody's side of this. And I really appreciate you guys' point of views as well, because I am also a landlord. So I love learning things as well as sharing ways that I use Furnished Finder and KeyCheck to run our business. I'm also the podcast co-host of the Landlord Diaries. If you haven't checked out the Landlord Diaries, it's our exclusive podcast. We have different landlords from all over the country on every single week, small portfolios, large portfolios, brand new landlords, super experienced landlords, and we try to have really good takeaways from every week, things that you can implement into your business. Okay, so today's goals. Today's goals really are, there are a few things, but really we can wrap it all up in using Furnished Finder and KeyCheck platforms. How can you become the best midterm rental landlord possible? Okay. How can we get familiar with these tools, support the booking and management process? How can we equip you to simplify your property management, protect your investment, and enhance your rental performance? And how can we answer questions and clarify some uncertainty about any of these products? Furnished Finder is fantastic because we let you run your business the way you want to run it, right? And we don't have any booking fees. We don't have any commissions. You get to use your leases, your screenings, your payment setups. Now, we have all of those products that we offer and all of those services through Furnished Finder and our sister company, KeyCheck. However, a lot of times it can kind of feel like, you know, if there's not a platform like Airbnb kind of doing the work for you, it's easy to just kind of feel a little bit lost and you're not quite sure, where do I go next with this? Or what do I do for tenant screening? What do I do for a lease? What do I need for that? So our goal here today is just to really help you through that and let you know where all of those tools are. Okay. I feel like my actual head is blocking some of the view here. So give me a thumbs up or something in the chat if you feel like you can see okay, even with where my head is. Trying to figure out how to move my head. And I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure how to move my head, okay? Let's see. Okay. I'm gonna go right here. How's that for everybody? Okay. We'll just keep me honest in the chat. And I will move around if needed. This is like a kind of a weird view for Zoom, so I'm not exactly sure how to make it the window. Okay. So every tool you need to succeed with midterm rentals is provided within Furnished Finder and KeyCheck. What's really cool is that, like I mentioned, you can actually use any systems that you want. However, the tools that we make available within Furnished Finder and within KeyCheck are specifically made for midterm rentals. So we've thought about the little nuances and the things that are just different enough about midterm rentals to make things a little bit quirky. So midterm rentals, anything 30 days and up furnished. So really anything that you are using Furnished Finder to advertise your property. Okay. Before we get started with the true booking process and the tools that you would use within a booking process, and by that I mean you find a tenant on Furnished Finder and you're ready to take the next steps with them. You're ready to, do the screening, set up the lease, the payment, all of those things. We want to make sure that you have your T's crossed and your I's dotted and you have your landlord insurance. Landlord insurance ensures you and your property are covered in case of damage or liability. Landlord insurance is the equivalent of homeowner's insurance, but if you are renting out your property. If you are renting out a room, if you are house hacking where you're renting out maybe half of a duplex and you live in the other half of a duplex, if you are renting out your property completely, you need landlord insurance, okay? This is really, really, really important. So our most recent partnership is with Steadily. Steadily is an industry leader in landlord insurance. And we have partnered with Steadily to make sure that they have an amazing product for midterm properties. So Steadily, you'll see it here, right here. STEADILY, okay? So we have partnered with Steadily because we have found that they offer an amazing midterm rental landlord insurance policy. You can get customized coverage and you can get a free quote. So that's really, really big. Their customer service team is amazing. And it's just their business very much aligns with ours in terms of how we like to treat our clients. And very customized quote, very fast, efficient, and getting you the coverage you need at the right time. I am going to take questions at the very, very end. So if you have questions, pop them into the Q&A box so that we don't miss them. And then I do have a colleague on here who's going to make sure that we get to answer them at the end. So if you have questions, pop them into the Q&A box, not into the chat box, just so that we make sure we don't lose anything. Okay, so to get this landlord insurance and get your quote, you're going to go into your Furnished Finder dashboard. Here you'll see there's two places that you can click to it, okay? You can click on your property insurance here, or in the drop-down menu, you can also see it here. Then you're going to click, it's going to take you to this little landing page, and you're going to go through Start Quote. There's no obligation when you get a quote, okay? The quote is completely free, and it can replace your homeowner's insurance, okay? So it's like homeowner's insurance plus the extra protection you need as a landlord. And a lot of people think, oh, well, my homeowner's insurance policy isn't up yet, right? So it expires in November, it expires in December. More often than not, your homeowner's insurance policy is actually, you can cancel or change it at any time. So I would never wait to do that because you want to make sure that you are fully covered the way that you want to be covered, okay? So this is the first things first, like everybody get on here, get your quote. Steadily gives very, very competitive prices, and their coverage is just outstanding. Okay, now we get into the juicy part. This is the midterm rental booking process, okay? This is where we want to make sure that everybody knows exactly all the tools they have, all the options they have, and how to use them all so that you don't have to feel overwhelmed. Now you'll see that step one here is to connect. And that's really what we do on Furnished Finder. This is where you connect with tenant leads, you get a direct message, a tenant calls you, and you guys agree to terms. And it's like, yes, I would like to stay at your apartment or your house or your condo from November until March. And you've worked out all of that. Okay. So we're going to start assuming that you've already found the tenant and you know that you want to move forward. And the first thing that we recommend you do and highly recommend you do is you screen your tenant. Okay. You can screen your tenant right through your landlord dashboard. So again, when you click into your Furnished Finder account and then you go to your landlord dashboard, you're going to see it as an icon here. It's also going to be in the drop-down menu here. We've also put it one more place to be really convenient for you. Oops, sorry about this, guys. This duplicated over here in the corner. Just ignore that. But in the tenant leads here, you see I've blurred these out for privacy. But when you have a tenant lead pop up, you can actually screen right here from your tenant leads as well. And it's going to pop up a box like this. And all you're going to type in is the basic information about the tenant. Okay, you're going to put their first name, last name, their email address, and the address of the property that they are intending to stay. Okay, so what this does is this sends a screening request to your tenant. It's going to go into their inbox. And they're going to fill out some basic identity information. And then it works with TransUnion, and it's going to create a criminal history, a credit history, and an eviction history. And this is really, really important because I hear a lot of landlords saying, oh, well, I only work with travel nurses, or I only work with corporate travelers, and I don't worry about their background checks because I know, the agency or their employer checks their background very thoroughly. What those agencies or employers hardly ever do is check for evictions because that doesn't matter to them. It's not pertinent. Their credit history, their criminal history, yes. However, I as a landlord also want to know if they have an eviction history, and that's going to show up on these. It's very traditional and kind of industry standard that a tenant pays for this. I always tell my tenant leads that this is very comparable to an application fee. I'll say I don't have an application fee. However, I do have a tenant screening that I require. It's $39 one time. They actually get a copy of the report as well. So if they want to use it for their records, it's kind of a nice check for them as well. It does not affect their credit score, which I always also make sure to mention. But it really lets you know who's staying at your property. Okay. This is like your gut check. This is making sure that when someone's going to be in your property for 30 days or more, you feel really good about them and you feel really confident about knowing who is in your property and that you are in the know, right? You have the knowledge about what's going on. Okay, so now we have screened our tenant. We feel really good about it. We have the PDF. It gets delivered right to our inbox. And now it's time, we need to do the details, all the legal details. Do we want worry-free waiver? What is our online lease going to say? Security deposit, all of those things. And I see some questions popping into the Q&A box. Keep them coming, you guys. I am going to address as many as I can at the end. I'm just going to try to get through this process first. So I see you. Keep them going and pop them into that Q&A box. Okay, so worry-free waiver. Worry-free waiver is one of our newest products. And this is something that as a landlord, I'm really, really excited for because security deposits for me, we have multiple properties. They're very clunky. They're very hard to manage. It's difficult to keep track of who have you given your security deposit back to, who do you still have it, who do you need to take out damage money from. And it also just, it's a burden on the traveler, right? Because they're moving into a new property and they might have to put up a $500 deposit, $600, $700 deposit. And that's just money of theirs that's taken up. I also like to know that I might have more coverage than just the deposit, right? So if I have a $400 deposit, I'm only covered really for up to $400. Now, in my lease, I do always have, the language that says if there's more damage, then they will be responsible for that. However, that can get awkward, right? And then there might be a dispute, there might be a disagreement, and just things that are just difficult to navigate. So if I as a landlord don't have to navigate that, and if my tenant doesn't have to have that upfront out of pocket cost, I feel like it's a win for everybody. So worry-free waiver is our property protection without deposits. So you might be saying like, okay, how does that work? Worry-free waiver comes in 3 plan options. Now, this cost is intended to be passed along to your tenant. Whether you pass along this cost to your tenant through an additional monthly charge, or if you just say, my rent is X amount higher, but there's no deposit, that's up to you, right? You can manage that however you want. But this coverage is completely customizable. So you can start at the very beginning of the lease. There's a 30-day minimum to the coverage, but after that, you get to prorate it to the actual day. So you're not paying for any coverage you don't need. You can cancel future months if you end up not needing them. You can extend it, and you can even increase your coverage if you need to. So these plan options you'll see on the left here. I'm going to move my head over to the right for a second. Okay, hopefully everybody can see that. You've got $59 is going to give you up to $1,000 of protection. $69 a month is $2,500 in protection. $79 a month is going to give you $39 of protection. So that's a lot more protection than you would typically get from a security deposit, because in midterm rentals, the security deposit is typically a third to a half month rent. It's very rare for a tenant to be willing to put a full month's deposit on a midterm rental. Okay, so you might be saying, well, how does this work? What do I get to cover, right? Well, it is going to cover pet damage. Okay, let's say a friend comes over and the tenant has a friend over and they're playing catch and they break a window. That's covered. If you have a tenant who breaks the lease and just leaves early, that's covered. If there's stolen property, that's covered. These are all the things. When you think about, I wonder if this is covered, think of anything that you would use a security deposit for. That's what it is covering, because this is truly intended to be an alternative to a security deposit. Don't think about it as insurance. It is not insurance. This is an alternative to a security deposit. And remember, it's truly meant so that this cost is passed on to your tenant. And it's nice because they also don't want to worry if like they spill wine on the rug and it's a $200 rug, right? Then they can just know that they're covered. All right. I know there's questions with this one and they come so often. So I promise I will handle those questions at the end. I don't want you to think that I am ignoring them because I see them coming in. Okay. Whoops. Just 1 second. My mouse is having a spasm. Okay. There we go. Okay. So you have the worry-free waiver. You have that all set up. You're going to set up that worry-free waiver right through your dashboard. So the common theme here, everything is in your dashboard. We're really trying to get everything in one place to make everybody's life easy. Even the things that, like this custom lease setup, are housed on keycheck.com right now. We have a link here within your Furnished Finder dashboard so you can get over there. So you just know that everything is right there. Okay, so you have your property insurance. You've got your worry-free waiver. And now you're ready to sign, or now you're ready to make a custom lease. So leases are set up through KeyCheck. They will soon be integrated into Furnished Finder as well, which will be very exciting. And these are state specific. So that's really important because many of the little nuances in leases are because different states require different verbiage, different coverage, different addendums, things like that. So it's going to have you put in the address of the property, and it's going to customize the lease to that address. Okay. Whoops. Excuse me, guys. My mouse is not agreeing with me right now. Okay. What else is nice is these are fully customizable. Okay. So you can get in there, you can add your house rules. You can add, let's say it says no smoking. You can also add no vaping, right? You can add rules about pets. You can really tailor it to make it your own. And then you send it for online signature for your tenant. Okay. So it's all online, all super easy. And these come in, we sell them in packages as low as $29.99 a year. And they're really like, it's incredibly competitive for a document price, considering that they are fully customizable and that they're backed by state specific. Okay, so here we are. You have screened your tenant. You have gotten worry-free waivers. You've signed up for that. That way, you don't have to worry about a security deposit, but you're completely covered in case anything happens. You've got your online lease. You've got that set up. You've sent that. Everybody has signed it. And now you're like, okay, how do I collect rent? I know it used to be, hey, I'll put a check in the mail. Me as a landlord, I'm like, please don't send me a check. Please don't. That's going to make my life very difficult. So we have, with Furnished Finder and KeyCheck, we have an online payment system. I know a lot of people prefer to use Zelle or Venmo, and I just want to encourage everybody to lean away from that practice as much as you can, because you're highly susceptible to scams and fraud within those two platforms. Those two platforms are designed for, I went out to dinner with my friends, we're splitting the tab, I'm going to Venmo her my half of the bill, right? They're not meant for business transactions unless you're using like a Venmo business account. But it's a recurring event. It's just, you want to have something more formal, more documented that you can rely on. Okay, so through KeyCheck and linked in your Furnished Finder dashboard, again, you can see our theme here. We're really trying to put everything in one spot for you. Our rent payments. So rent payments, a tenant can either use their credit card or a debit card or an ACH to pay. They're responsible for the fee, because anytime you pay with a credit card or anything, there is a fee that comes with it. But that's very industry standard for if you're going to pay rent with a credit card. But a lot of times these tenants will still pay with a credit card because they're professional travelers and they want those points. And the offset of the fee with the points, they're still coming out far ahead. So they get those valuable points. With ACH or checking accounts, it's a very low cost. It's a $5 maximum charge. So even that, it's very, very low cost for them. This also gives them, they can make automatic payments, and it's much less cumbersome than, like a bill pay through your bank or a Zelle or a Venmo, and it's free for you as the landlord. So some platforms, when you say, okay, I'm going to charge $2,000 for rent, they might take that credit card charge or ACH charge out of pocket. That's not how we do it, because we know as a landlord, like, what you charge is what you need to be able to get. So the processing fees are an add-on payment for the tenant. Okay, your final step is to celebrate. And I know this might seem a little cheesy and a little cliche, but really, this is a process that takes some learning, and it takes, putting yourself out there and finding great tenants, and then going through all of these steps one by one. And so it's important that you can celebrate and know that you've done everything in the most efficient way, and that you're not using, old school stuff to do it that is really difficult to manage it, right? You've said goodbye to checkbooks. You're doing real tenant screenings. You're doing worry-free waiver instead of having security deposits. And that you're really maximizing your business so you can spend less time managing these things in your business and more time just in your life. Okay. So I'm going to cover some of these frequently asked questions. We actually have a good amount of time. So I'm going to cover some of these questions, and then we will go over some of the Q&A that have come in. So remember, if you have any other questions, pop them in the Q&A. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly, and then we'll get to the questions that you guys have, because I want to make sure to get to those since you were all able to join us live today, which is so exciting. So frequently asked questions about tenant screenings. Who pays for the tenant screening? The tenant does pay for the screening. You have the option as the landlord to pay for it, but we highly recommend the tenant pay for it. It also gives them a little bit of skin in the game, right? So that it lets you know that they're very serious about moving into your property and taking the next steps forward. How long does it take to receive the results of a credit background check? It does not take long at all. It just takes a few minutes past when they submit it. It's very, very fast. And the tenant also gets a copy of it, which I like, because then they have it for their own records. If there's anything alarming, like, they can go look at it if something is showing up on there that it's not supposed to be. Or I know in my past, my mom and I both have very similar first names, and our credit reports have gotten very misconstrued sometimes. So it's beneficial for them. It lets them have an insight to their credit report. What are the advantages of using KeyCheck? One of the biggest advantages of using KeyCheck for tenant screening is that it does not ding their credit at all. So it's a soft pull. So that's very reassuring to them, because they know if they're going to go every 3 months and stay at a new property, they're not going to be affected on their credit. Is my tenant's personal information protected? Yes. It is a secure portal, and everything is completely protected through there. What information will the landlord be able to see? So you will be able to see a credit score, some credit history. So you'll be able to see if they've been making payments on time, if they have things overdue, any alarming things like that. You'll also be able to see if they have any type of criminal history, including if they're on like the National Sex Offenders Registry, anything like that. And if they have any eviction history, which as a landlord, I love. Okay, worry-free waiver. Worry-free waiver always has a lot of questions because it's our newest product, and it is something that it's hard to compare it with anything else that's out there in the market, because we worked with Waiver to make this product custom for midterm rental landlords. Like, you cannot find this exact product anywhere else. So worry-free waiver, what does it cover? It covers anything that your security deposit would typically cover. Perhaps the better question here is, what does it not cover? And we always tell people that you have to be able to see it to claim it. Okay, so like smells, you can't really claim like cigarette smells, smoking smells, things like that, simply because since it's not insurance, all of the adjusting is just done through photos and emails, and you can't really take a photo of smoke. But that being said, if the couch has a bunch of cigarette burns in it, that's going to be covered. We do have some more information on worry-free waiver within your dashboard and on our blog. There's a really, really robust post on our blog if you're interested in it, that has tons and tons of information. But in general, anything that you would use a security deposit to reimburse yourself for damage-wise, that's what it's meant to cover. Okay, does the worry-free waiver replace landlord insurance? 1 second. Sorry, guys, I'm not used to talking so fast. No, it does not. Worry-free waiver is not meant to replace insurance of any kind, because it's not insurance. And this is where it's really tricky to kind of wrap your head around worry-free waiver and what it is and is not. Think about it as it's an alternative to a security deposit. Okay, that's what it is. It's not insurance. Do I have to tell my tenant I have worry-free waiver? No, you do not. You can just advertise it as a security deposit free property. Can I cancel or change my worry-free waiver? Yes, you're going to do that within your portal. Do tenants care about providing security deposits? It's very expensive to travel around all the time, and it's very expensive to have deposits held. And a lot of times these travelers are going to put down their next deposit before their first one is up. Okay, so they're going to be putting down a deposit on their next property, their next stay, before they're done at their current stay, and that can get really expensive for them. So they do. What if someone bails on the lease? Loss of income through someone leaving a lease early is covered through worry-free waiver. So you would be covered up to the amount that you have selected through your package. Can I really pass along the cost? Yes. I was a little hesitant towards this one, I will say, but as a landlord, now when I get a tenant to the stage of booking, I say, would you like to do a $500 refundable deposit or a $69, $59, whichever package you want, monthly fee? It's not refundable, but it covers for you for up to X amount of damage. And I've been really surprised at how many people would rather pay a small fee per month and just not have to worry about it. Which, when I put myself in their shoes, it makes sense. It's like we just don't want to worry about these things. Okay. Oh, sorry, you guys. My mouse is panicking today. Okay. Digital custom lease. So let's talk about what are the key elements of a residential digital lease. This is very specific from state to state. There are things that are always going to be involved, like the address, the rate, what are the terms, who's responsible for damage, who's responsible for utilities. However, it does change. Excuse me, my voice is giving out on me a little bit. Can I customize my lease according to laws in my state? Yes, I think we've covered that. It's actually going to default to the specifics of the state you are in, and tenants can e-sign and so can you. So it's a very efficient for everybody. All right. Sorry guys, I'm having mouse technicalities right now. Online payments. Do I have to pay to accept online payments? No. Any of the fees associated with paying online are paid by the tenant. How much are the credit card processing fees? Right now, the credit card processing fees are 4.95%. We work with Stripe, and that is fairly competitive for, excuse me, you guys, my voice is not hanging in there very well today. That is very competitive in terms of rental payments online because of the process that they go through to get paid. Whoops. Okay. Landlord insurance. What is the difference between homeowners and landlord insurance? Think of landlord insurance as the homeowner's insurance if you're a landlord. So you don't need both, but if you're a landlord, you absolutely need landlord insurance because it's going to cover you for things like loss of income. It's going to cover you for liability, all of those extra things that you need coverage for as a landlord that you don't as just a basic homeowner. Okay. Do I need to have landlord insurance? Yes, absolutely. 100% you need to have landlord insurance. What if I'm just renting out your room? If you are renting out any part of your property to any extent, you need to have landlord insurance. Like it's an absolute yes. Can I get landlord insurance if I don't own my property? This would fall into the nuances, kind of like edge cases, as I call them, kind of like the what ifs, right? Well, what if I have this, or what if I have this? And I would say for this, go through the steadily process and work with their customer service team and really help them to understand your situation. They have a wonderful team, and that's one of the reasons that we have partnered with them. Okay, one last slide, and this is really important. And this slide has been put together because we do have these 3 insurance-like products that people can sometimes get mixed up. So you have worry-free waiver. Worry-free waiver is not insurance, okay? It's meant to replace security deposits, and it gives you peace of mind in case of accidental or intentional damage. So think about this, like I have at the bottom. The tenant's dog chewed up the couch. Worry-free waiver has you covered. Landlord insurance covers damage or liabilities from fire, windstorm, hail, riots, tenant injury, water, vandalism, theft. It is absolutely necessary, and it's going to replace your homeowner's insurance. And you can typically, remember, cancel your homeowner's insurance at any time, get a refund for what you haven't used of that policy time-wise, and start the landlord insurance right away. An example of when you would use landlord insurance: there's a hurricane and your roof is destroyed. Landlord insurance is what's going to have you covered. Renter's insurance, which you can also get through KeyCheck. If you decide to require renter's insurance from your tenants, you can get it right through KeyCheck, or they can get it right through KeyCheck. Is going to cover loss or damage due to theft, fire, vandalism for their property. So let's say your tenant's belongings are stolen. That's when renter's insurance is going to come in. So this is one of my best kind of comparison sheets and a quick go-to if you ever have questions about what is what. Guys, we will email out this whole presentation as well as a recording as well, so for everybody to refer to. Okay, this is just a sheet I like to share at the end of every webinar. It's got tons of resources. Guys, at Furnished Finder, we are pouring into resources for all of our landlords because we want to make sure that you have everything you need to be successful. So everything from listing your property here, which I'm assuming most of you have your property listing on Furnished Finder, to the podcast, the Facebook group, contact us, everything is on here. So just go ahead, and if you want to even just take a picture of this with your phone, these QR codes are great little cheat sheet to important places to be. So, okay, I think we can join, or we can do some Q&As now. I will start at the top here and just go through. And I'm gonna try to go lightning speed with these because I know what it's like when you're on a webinar and you put in a Q&A and you never see, you never get your question answered. Okay, there, can everybody take a picture of that? Sorry guys, I'm still learning Zoom a little bit, and this whole like floating head situation is a little bizarre to me. I don't know why it's the default, but I'm working on it, okay? Okay, what's the easiest way to collect a security deposit? You can set that up in your online payments through KeyCheck, and it's very, very easy. You can even go in and decide to refund it when you're done. Does Worry-Free Waiver allow me to collect a cleaning fee, or do I need to add that separately? Think about that, completely separate from Worry-Free Waiver, okay? So your cleaning fee is completely different. You can enter that into your payment schedule for online payments. Now, one cool thing that Worry-Free Waiver does cover is excessive cleaning. So let's say that your tenant has a pet and they move out, you open the door to start turning it over, or your cleaner opens the door to turn it over for the next guest. And let's say that this pet made a complete mess of everything, right? There's stuffing everywhere. There's dog messes everywhere. You are covered for that, but your cleaning fee is going to be separate. Okay, I still need to create my first contract with a client. I'm so excited for you to do so. I'm hoping this is helpful for you. Are leads getting rarer this year comparing to last year? I haven't gotten any legit leads in the past few months for my property. They're actually not. They're higher than ever. So, and this is a little off topic, but I do want to help you, Katie. I would take a really close look at your listing. Make sure that you are really putting your best foot forward, making sure that your pictures are amazing, making sure that your rate is competitive. I would make sure that your calendar is updated. And if you're still having issues, I would reach out to our customer service team, and they can help even to look and make sure that you aren't missing any big opportunities. Okay. I am going to, since we have a lot of questions on here, I'm going to go through and look for the ones that are specifically related to the services that we talked about in here and how to use the tools. How does Stripe work? I still need to complete verification with Stripe. Stripe is a credit card processor that we partner with, and you'll see this theme, right? We partner with Steadly, we partner with Stripe, we partner with Rocket Lawyer, we partner with Waiver for Worry-Free Waiver, because we want to make sure that we have the absolute best in the industry that can help us make sure that the tools are like top notch for you. So go ahead, go through the verification with Stripe, and then it's going to be pretty seamless. Okay. Do you charge first and last for midterm rentals if it's up for 6 months? That's completely up to you. I would say most people don't. I would say most people require just that 1/2 to 1/3 of a month's rent deposit or that worry-free waiver. That's a really good choice. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get through these that are specific. Okay, landlord insurance in addition to homeowners insurance. You are going to want to have it instead of and not in addition to. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of overlap. Okay. What if mortgage insurance is included in your mortgage payment? You would just want to account for that and what you charge. If you have something like PMI. Okay. Okay, this is a good one. What if I don't want to cancel my homeowner's insurance? I own a duplex, which I live in 1 unit. Why should I add the insurance and not replace my existing? I would say this is one of those cases where I would get on and I would talk with Steadily and I would say, okay, it's one property. Do I need landlord insurance for the whole thing or can it be 2 dwellings? I'm guessing they would help because that's probably more of a case by case basis. But if you are renting out any part of that property, you need to have landlord insurance on that part of that property, if not the whole thing. Okay. Sorry, guys, I'm scrolling through. I want to try to. Oh, am I able to enter people not on the platform into tenant screening? That's a great question. Yes, absolutely. You 100% can. And that happens to me sometimes that I will get a lead from an old tenant will refer a colleague, right? They might be a travel nurse and then they met the next travel nurse coming and they recommend they stay with me. And so like they came from Furnished Finder, but it's kind of once removed. And I will still do a tenant screening. What about someone charged with an eviction that hasn't yet been evicted? Is there a file entry with the court that will show only the past completed evictions? I believe it's only the completed evictions. But typically I would say with people that have had evictions, many times it's not just one. So there may be others that show up historically for them. How does the tenant get a copy of the background check? They get it direct through their email as well. So they can see exactly what you see. What about checking references, calling previous landlords? 100%. That is another great thing to do. I like to do that, especially if there's a pet, because it's not good enough to say my dog is well behaved. And like I want to know from someone firsthand, right? So I think that's another very good practice. Oh, I say yes. I want to learn about the Furnished Finder stats page, even for another webinar. That's a great idea. If you guys have any other ideas for webinars that you would like to see, please drop them in the chat because this is, like I said, this is a brand new initiative for us. And it's really great to just start to be involved in this community and provide all sorts of help on all these different fronts because there's so much information that we have that we just want to be able to equip you guys with. What if the damage loss exceeds the maximum worry-free waiver currently allowed? You are covered up to that amount. Okay, so up past that, you would still want to make sure that your lease protects you from any damage outside of that amount. But you are going to have at least that base coverage that more often than not, I would expect to more than cover you. But yeah, you'll still want to have some language in your lease and you can do that with the online docs. I was setting my deposit to a full month's rent. Are most people reducing that amount? It's going to depend. It kind of depends on how you want to operate your business. I think typical is closer to a half month rent, but if you have a luxury home or something, you might be doing it a higher amount. Are there any deductibles with worry-free waivers? So there's no deductibles. However, there's a $50 minimum. And I know that's confusing, okay? And here's the way it works. if the total damage to your property is less than $50, we just say, you know, that's kind of the cost of doing business, rentals, whatever. Like if you have two towels that are damaged, or you have 3 cereal bowls that are damaged. But if you have 3 cereal bowls, 2 towels, a rug, things that collectively add up to $50, that is all covered, and they will cover every dollar of that $50. It's more so that damage under $50, it just makes it so there's not a claim for every single little thing. Will the worry-free waiver go up if you use it? No. No. And that's where you've got to remember it's not insurance, which is so great. Is this deposit insurance provided by a third party? Yes, it's through Waiver. And Waiver does this very well for short term. But this product that they've made for us with Furnished Finder, we've been working directly with them for a long time to make this product. It is priced differently than you can get direct through them because it's for midterm, right? It's not for short term. It's for people who are renting for longer periods of time, to professionals, to these tenants who are going to treat your property very well. So the prices are a lot lower when you get them directly through Furnished Finder. So it's something that we've worked really hard, and we understand that, like, they are the leader in this space. Okay. Let's see. Is there a fee for me as a landlord to use the worry-free waiver? So the worry-free waiver does cost that $59, $69, $79 a month. However, it is meant to be passed along to the tenant. Okay. Again, you could be very upfront with it. You could say, I instead of a security deposit, I offer these coverage amounts. And you could let them choose. You could just say, I require a $59 a month waiver, but no deposit. Or you could just build it into your rental price. And then you are getting paid for it from the tenant. And they might not even know, right? So you can really position it however you want. Okay. Is there an option for worry-free waiver to replace deposit amount in the property description? We are working on this. So this is going to be something really cool, because as tenants start to learn about this, we expect them to be really excited about it and to start looking for properties that offer worry-free waiver. Okay. Oh, I have a tenant currently in my condo, and she will be there until the end of October. Can I offer her worry-free waiver? Is that not allowed because she's already there? That is 100% allowed. I think especially as we begin to integrate worry-free waiver, there's going to be a lot of people who just start to use it mid-lease, and that's completely fine. Okay. In regards of deposit insurance, do you pay if you don't have a tenant? No. So you're only going to pay for worry-free waiver when you have a tenant in there, and it's going to prorate to the exact day, which is really nice. So there's a 30-day minimum because it is meant for midterm rentals. But anything above that 30 days, it's going to prorate to the exact day, which I think is pretty cool. Okay. Some of these I think we have covered. How long is the credit check good for? 6 months, we say it is good for. However, if it's someone that's very, very active, or maybe is trying to improve their credit score, they could even do it more frequently. Ooh, can you distinguish between worry-free waiver and steadily? I love that question. I would refer to this slide in particular, and just make sure that you remember that, like, steadily is landlord insurance. That's anything that, like, if it were your home, you would call your homeowner's insurance for. Worry-free waiver is anything that you would deduct from a security deposit for. Okay. How do you handle turning a tenant down if you see something in your screening report that you're uncomfortable with? This is a fantastic question. I will say that we have 12 midterm rentals, and I've only had to turn down 1 tenant ever. Because the tenant types that come on Furnished Finder, they're just very responsible, they're very respectful, they're very reliable, like they're professionals, right? But it does happen. So I tell people that before you do anything, you need to kind of set your standards of acceptability. So what is the minimum credit score? What is are you willing to accept any criminal history? What about a red light, right? What about things like a deal? Like, what are you comfortable with? And are you comfortable with any type of eviction history? And then write those rules down somewhere, right? Keep it solid, make it very, very official, right? Even if you just have one property or you rent out one room, write down your rules as to far as like if you would approve this tenant or you would not approve this tenant. And then when it comes time, if someone doesn't fit within those guidelines, you just say, I'm so sorry, you don't fit my guidelines for a tenant, right? I require a credit score of X, or unfortunately, I don't accept tenants who have past eviction. Now, you do want to make sure that you're abiding by any laws in your area as far as like discrimination. But, you know, someone's credit history is not going to be affected by that. Okay. Sorry, guys, I'm breezing through these and I want to make sure that since we only have a few minutes left, I make sure I get to the most important ones here. Okay, if we're still collecting security deposits without the worry-free waiver, what's the best way to get that deposit from the tenant? Like QuickBooks or other platforms, or does Furnished Finder have a way? You can actually collect the deposit through the online payments in Furnished Finder. So when you go through that process, it's going to have you set up any fees and how you want to collect them, and you can collect them right through there. Okay, what if the tenant doesn't wish to have renter's insurance? Remember that renter's insurance covers the renter's property. Okay, so if they don't want to have that insurance, that's completely fine. Personally, as a landlord, I would make sure that there's something in your lease that says that you're not responsible for damage to any of their property if something were to happen. But again, renter's insurance covers their property, not yours. Okay. All right, you guys, I think we are. Oh, if a dog chews up my couch, why do I need insurance if I have a security deposit? So this is a really good example because technically you are covered if you have a security deposit, okay? However, it gets a little tricky because let's say A, your couch costs more than the security deposit, or B, you might be worried that if you keep the security deposit, it might lead to a negative review, or it might lead to a very tense conversation, or it might lead to, you know, denial, or that didn't happen. I didn't do that. It was like that. Things like that. It just can lead to conflict. And it can actually end up costing the tenant more because let's say they lose their entire $500 deposit. And then you lose a little bit more because the couch was $700, but you're getting some conflict in trying to get that extra $200 out of the tenant when perhaps they could have just paid the $59 a month and then you'd be covered for up to $1,000 of damage. So it's not that security deposits don't work. They totally do. That's why we've been using them for so long. It's just kind of a new way to think about it. And the goal with Worry Free is that it's really better for everyone, right? And that's how it's designed, and that's why we have made it the way that we have made it, is so that it really is beneficial for you as the landlord, and that it also is beneficial for the tenant. Okay, let's try this. I see that 3 hands are raised. Let's see. I'm going to allow a couple people to talk here and ask their question. All right, Michelle, I'm going to unmute you. All right, Michelle, are you there?
I think I'm here. I'm not sure.
Hi.
I don't know what I raised my hand to. I had several questions. So,
Oh, that's okay. Do you have any other ones I can answer, or you want to pass the baton?
I think I'll pass the baton for now. I have to go back and
All
look
right.
at several questions for you. One I know you answered for sure.
Okay, good. All right, let's try Robin. You guys work with me here. I'm so new to this Zoom thing. Okay, I don't know if Robin is. Oh, here, Robin.
I don't have a question.
Oh, good. Well, hi.
Hi.
Okay. All right, let's try one more. I'm gonna go to the most recent person who raised their hand. Okay, LaDonna.
Thank you. I do have a question. So
Sure.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
I'm kind of in a suburb,
Okay.
basically, and my the hospitals are in a town next to me. Well, when people search, when the nurses and medical professionals search for me, I don't really come up, and my property isn't visible. So I've called and said, can we extend the map or anything? But nobody at Furnished Finder can do anything for me. How can I increase my visibility due to that situation?
Yeah, it's hard if people are searching in a specific like geographic range, right? Because you can't change where your property is. That's, it's like the old saying in real estate. It's like the only thing you can't change is the location. So given that, I would try to really give your property any other competitive edge that you can. I would take the best pictures ever and hire a professional if you haven't. I would maybe talk about things like free parking or close to public transit or pet friendly, any of these things, because people who have pets or who have cars they need to park for free, depending on where you are, those are the people who might be willing to travel a little bit further if they're employed by the hospital. And also know that the traveling medical professionals are only about 30% of our traveler traffic right now. So there still will be a lot of people looking. So make sure that your property is, set up for success with all sorts of tenants.
Right. Well, I'm only 6 miles from the hospital.
Okay.
Distance isn't a problem. It's just searching. I'm so far down at the bottom of if there's 36 pages,
Right.
search my area, I'm on page 36. So
Make sure your calendar's updated as well.
I do every day.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's a really big tip for visibility, and make sure that all of your amenities are filled in as well.
Okay.
That'll help you as well.
Thanks.
Okay, you guys, this has been so great. If I could ask just one favor of you all, because like I said, this is like our second or third webinar we've done, and I love being able to help everybody and give anybody a feedback that we can. If you could just take a second, write in the webinar chat if there's anything that was meaningful to you today, or any other topics that you would like us to cover, or just any kind of general feedback. We would really appreciate it. We're always looking to improve and get better, and I will work on trying to fix my head not covering all of the content. So but I just want to thank you guys all for being here with us today. And if you have any questions, we will be emailing out this presentation with the recording. So you can always reply to that email or get in touch with our customer service team. Our customer service team is amazing. Like, hands down, they're some of the best people I've ever met. So lean on them if you need help, because we genuinely want all of you to succeed. So I will leave you to the rest of your Monday, and thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye.